All right, time for another edition of the Panjandrum. It's a beautiful day. Just got out the gym, got my early flex on because health and wealth go hand in hand. Mens sana in corpore sano. Healthy mind, healthy body. Don't tell me you a brainiac and then tell me that you are not putting some amount of your intellectual attention towards your body, because optimal intellectual achievement requires peak physical output. Neither here nor there. It's a beautiful day. I love to talk about cognitive bias. One of the funny things to me about people is that all people, or at least all modern people, tend to presume that they are funny. Now, if you ever go to like a dating profile site, or even like, a hot or not type of thing, even when folks are kids, something about modern society, and when I say modern, I'm talking the last 100 to 200 years, there is this deep desire to not only be funny, but to presume that one is funny. And what I always ask folks who tell me they are funny is, I say, well, have you ever got on stage at like an open mic and put your funny to the test? And I'll say somewhere between 80 and 95% of the time, it's absolutely not. And here's the reality. Anything you do, the proof is in the pudding. Statistics over opinions. With that being said, most people aren't very funny. But because I am one who only challenges folks to do things that I do, even though I've spent many times hosting on stage and did various forms of open mics, I thought it would be fun today to do a freestyle open mic comedic set on the Panjandrum. And this thought process sparked from earlier today. I get a lot of I get regular devotionals from folks. And one of the devotionals I received today was talking about God is your warrior. And I started to think about how gangster God has historically been. Now, before you crucify him, not necessarily God himself, even though the Old Testament, if you're a Christian or Jew, was all about fire and brimstone. But I'm talking more about God's people. If you look at the Sphinx in Egypt, that sucker had a nose before the Sweet Lords people got there and blew that nose off. So was Jesus a gangster? There's no evidence to support that. But I think maybe one of his disciples may have been a gangster. Maybe it was John. I mean, John would be out in the woods. He'd come back with all types of shit in his beard. The fuck was a savage. Maybe it was Judas. That motherfucker was gangster as fuck. He had no loyalty to anybody. How you not have loyalty to Jesus? Somebody had to be a gangster. So as earlier I heard, or I received this devotional about God is a warrior, I started thinking about the Crusades and the Holy Wars that you get from all different factions of religion. I mean, when the rubber meets the road, look at what's happening in Afghanistan today. Folks flip that hat back and they turn up, show enough, and act a complete and utter savage. I mean, God got some gangsters with him. And I think from the very beginning, look at colonization. How gangster is that? We're going to come here, we're going to take your land, We're going to take your resources. Oh, yeah, and now you're going to worship the way I want you to worship. That's pretty gangster right there. I'm going to take everything from you. Then I'm going to set up a church and tell you to thank me for taking everything from you. Some gangster stuff right there. I'm just saying. Old Testament, one of Jesus' disciples had to be a gangster. My money's on John or Judas. Flash forward, today, stuff is still so gangster that folks will try to colonize all your stuff. Could you imagine a preacher trying to cheat on his significant other in his house? I mean, anyone without sin would cast the first stone, and without sin would be the devil. So if the preacher wanted to get some head on the side or something, it ain't happening, because God colonized his house. And in some religions, he don't even own it. He don't even have his own home. He give 10% of his tithes every week. That's all that was asked for. But they want 100% of his home. Why can't the preacher get some head on the side? He without sin cast the first stone. I think one of Jesus' disciples was a gangster. The church cannot stand, or at least the Christian church cannot stand gay people. Gay people be some of the hardest folks in the church. That's gangster. When you show up where they don't even like you and you take over, that's some gangster shit. I think one of Jesus' disciples was a gangster. My money's on John or Judas. Could have been Mary Magdalene too, depending on how you want to look at it. She was the lady of the night. Church is gangster, man. They will colonize your shit. And don't ask. I mean, they will make you a slave, take everything you have, break up your family, build a church, and tell you to thank them for it. I think one of Jesus' disciples was a gangster. My money's on John, Judas. Could have been Mary Magdalene too. Food for thought. All right, so when we talk about comedy, like I said, that's off the cuff. It's a couple concepts that were in my head. Hopefully nobody tries to crucify me today. But it just might happen. But it was just on my head, so I figured I would experiment with some stuff off the cuff. I'm driving down the road. Timing would probably be better if I wasn't focused on multitasking, and if I had jotted down some notes to make the jokes better, or to make the punches really hit, and my timing and my the influx of my voice to go with it. But I do that, and the moral of the story of me doing that is statistics speak over opinions. Everybody swears they're funny. Everybody swears they're attractive. Everybody swears all types of things. I mean, even on the last topic, I get a kick. I always hear so much about Kanye West. Kanye West was like one of the biggest male whores out there. He confessed his love for God, and all of a sudden they treat him like he's homosexual. But the love of God, agape, is not a romantic love. So why would you be gay for loving God? Questions, no answers. So I guess the trolls win. Practice not only what you preach, practice the things you claim to be good at. Statistics speak over opinions. Opinions are cute and fun and full of shits and giggles, but the proof is in the pudding. Just like the devil is in the details.